like, man,
I
this
appreciate
is fun. I like to watch the numbers go up. And then I'm like, keep going up. And it's like, we're not going up anymore. And I'm like,
Nah, we're good.
damn.
Yeah.
They're fucking getting iced out by the fucking Browns defense, man.
Yeah, dude. That's fucking crazy.
Congrats. Hats off
Thanks.
to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, I thought you were fucked. And then you made that Goff trade. And I was like, God, now I'm fucked. So,
And so
I felt good about that one. Yeah.
And welcome back to Rough Draft Research, the weekly Dynasty podcast where we throw smudge at the wall and see if it sticks and BS stuff, right, Daniel?
that's right. I treat it like a spaghetti noodle. If it sticks, I know we're good to go.
Hell
Otherwise,
yeah.
we keep boiling.
Yep, there we go. This week we're doing some team needs. We did kind of, what did we do last week? Contract, free agency.
We looked at
Owls
the
play.
upcoming free agents for next year, and this week we're going to look at the actual teams and their needs and try to plug in some of those names that we went through last week.
Yep.
So it's kind of like a continuation, two sides of the same coin. Very different perspectives, though.
Yeah,
Had a lot of fun.
Like Two-Face from Batman.
That's
yeah,
right.
exactly.
Harvey.
Exactly like it.
Good. So we selected a list of teams.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, we did.
Yes, we did. So we put this list together and kind of narrowed it down to almost 3 categories of sorts. We kind of started with the bottom half of the teams, but then as we got into it, some of those top half of the teams have a lot of needs as well. So let's start with the main, which is the QB. And we have a lot of quarterback needy teams going into next year. So let's fire it away. I'll shoot it over to Christian.
Yeah. I think for once the QB market might be the most interesting. There's a fight with the RB market. The RBs there's a lot of stud names in there. The wide receiver market's a little lacking, but to me, there's a few teams that really need a quarterback. Painfully, obviously, the Jets are one, Lions, Falcons, Colts, Panthers, Saints, and Commanders. And I think it's safe to say that at least 4 of those teams are going to draft a quarterback. Every mock I look at, there's around 4 guys going in the top 10. And so that's kind of what we got to figure out is which of the teams are going to be left kind of high and dry looking for one of these vets and how are they going to get it done. And I also wanted to bring up just something I wanted to ask you guys about because it seems like consensus is that Geno Smith is staying in Seattle, but Seattle is projected to have the number 3 overall pick right now because of their Russell Wilson trade with Denver. Like, is there a universe where Seattle goes, there you go, Geno, awesome year, appreciate it, go get somebody to pay you a bunch of money, and let's just draft a quarterback? Because that could throw off the whole dynamic as well. What do you guys think about Geno? Do you think he's staying in Seattle, or should we throw him in this free agency kind of pool?
I didn't throw him in the pool, but I also think that like he should probably go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really think it's the matter of Seattle wanting him or not. I think it's the matter of Geno seeing an opportunity to get paid. And I don't think Seattle's going to make that decision to pay him all that money when they do have the number 3 overall pick or a top 5 pick at that. So,
Well,
and
another thing is, I mean, thank you, Sport Track, for everything. This is really leaning on you this week. But Gino's projected, like, they have him as an annual salary of 36 million. And
Jeez.
yeah, like, that's insane. I don't
Mm-hmm.
think that, knowing what we know about Seattle, like, I don't think they're willing to fork that kind of cash over.
Hell no.
And I came up with this. Seattle's not really on our list tonight that I know of, but I came up with something wild when I was looking at all the cap numbers, and that's Lamar Jackson is a projected $42 million a year. And if
Mm-hmm.
you're looking at the cap numbers, there's only about 6 teams that are projected to have that much cap space. And one of those
Mm-hmm.
teams is Seattle, Other teams are, the Bengals, not going to need a quarterback. You've got the Bears, not going to need a quarterback. Don't think the Patriots are going in on that. So really, you're looking at the Falcons, Giants, Seahawks as far as those people that could afford it. Probably Houston could make it work, and then obviously Baltimore's right there, probably gonna make it work. But
Yeah.
if I thought that, like, if you're gonna pay someone 36 million, why not just kick an extra 6 million and go all the way? Because he would eat on that team, man, with
Oh
Lockett
yeah.
and Metcalf and what they're doing
Mm-hmm.
with Ken Walker. Like, don't even get me started.
Yeah, pretty much everything we talk about here is going to be turned on its head if Lamar Jackson makes it to free agency. Like if he actually makes it to the open market, all chips are off the board. Everyone's going to go in on him. They're going to find a way to get the money. I kind of took Lamar out just
Yep.
of the conversation because I just don't see that happening. I see the Ravens locking him down with the franchise tag at a bare minimum or signing him to a long-term deal. But you're right, he would absolutely crush it in Seattle. And with the salary cap projected to go to above 220 million, a lot of that problem would be solved themselves already having the kind of extra money to pay Lamar. So yeah, if he made it, I bet the Seahawks would be in on him for sure.
That'd be incredible.
Yeah. So I say, kind of what you were saying with Gino. I mean, how many teams have we seen? We've heard we're one quarterback away. You had your Denver Broncos, so they went out and got Russell Wilson. We had the Indianapolis Colts, go out to get Carson Wentz and then Matt Ryan. So let's dive into some of these teams that are kind of one quarterback away and, could possibly be in that Geno Smith conversation. So let's start with the Jets, and let's kick it over to you, Daniel. What you got?
Okay, the Jets. Yeah, they are one quarterback away. Like, didn't they just take a quarterback like, third overall in the draft a year or two
Yeah, they
ago?
did.
Yeah.
Well, that's fun. That's great for them. Well, I'm looking at their cap space and the team needs and just the overall build. And here's what I came up with, man. I think they're sitting in a kind of a weird place as far as I'm just going to preface all this. I did look at like skill position cost as a rank with and without the quarterback. So kind of looking at the positional spending. And
Okay.
obviously I'm leaning more towards the quarterback, running back, tight end, wide receiver conversations tonight as it applies to the cap space. So now that I've said all that, the Jets are sitting at a non-quarterback skill position wise. They're like 22nd in spending. So they're not really forking over a lot of cash except to the tight ends. They're spending 21 million, and that's the third most. So a big reason for that, and this is incurred costs in 2023 projected, currently under contract, right? A big reason for that is Mike White and Joe Flacco are both going into free agency, right? So that takes a lot of the safety valves away from what's going on with this team. They got the bad vibes with Garrett or Zach Wilson right now. Good vibes with Garrett Wilson.
Good.
Very
Great
good.
vibes.
Great vibes.
But the thing with this team is they're staring at less than 10 million in projected cap space, and they're working with the playoff level first round pick. So they're not going to get, a high dollar free agent. They're not going to get a high talented draft capital guy. And after an organization that went through the Sam Darnold thing, and then now with the Zach Wilson thing, like you can't keep doing this. So as far as free agency forecasting, I think they're probably good at all other positions outside of quarterback. And I think it'd be cool if they pulled in like a Baker Mayfield type guy, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think they roll the dice with Mike White and kind of punt a year and try to bring him back and don't do anything too sexy. That's where I landed on it.
Interesting. I could definitely see that as an option, especially if Mike White keeps winning and keeps playing the way that he's playing. Then why wouldn't you just see? Like there's almost no risk there if you just want to see on Mike White. I agree though. They're not drafting another quarterback, not only because they're not going to have the pick to do it, but just like you're saying, they just did it with Sam Darnold. They just did it with Zach Wilson. This roster is ready to win right now. They're proving it this season. Their defense is extremely good. They have great skill position players. If they had somebody to just efficiently run the ball or to run the offense, then they would be good. And I think the Jets see that. And of any of the teams we're going to talk about, if there's a big move to be made, if there's one of like an Aaron Rodgers or a Lamar or something, I think the Jets are obviously in that conversation. I think, though, they're not going to get any of those. I think that's just some wild fantasy stuff. But I do think there are some like non-sexy options that might be on the move. And the one I picked for the Jets, to be honest, the most is Jared Goff. I think he's playing well enough, and the Lions are projected to have the number 2 overall pick right now. They're definitely taking a quarterback, and now the Lions could keep Jared Goff. He's been in the system. He's a vet presence, and they could just let him teach the rookie. The issue is he's got a $30 million cap hit in 2023, but you could cut him or trade him and take $10 million in dead cap. So you could cut $20 million off your cap if you're the Lions. So in my opinion, Jared Goff is at least being cut and restructuring that contract because there's no way they're paying him $30 million. But when I look at somebody like the Jets, Jared Goff could run that offense well enough. He's doing it with the Lions right now, and the Jets have better weapons than the Lions, and they have a better team. And Jared Goff is running it. I think it would make a lot of sense as a vet, and then you kind of just go from there. He's still young enough that if he does kind of catch fire, you're good to go. And so I thought him and the other name was Ryan Tannehill, or if like a Derek Carr becomes available, I think it makes sense for the Jets.
Damn. I know I threw out Garoppolo last week.
Garoppolo would make sense as well. He was the 4th name, but I stayed off it because you said it.
Man, too bad Tom Brady didn't still have that Giselle money. He could just come in on a team-friendly deal, huh?
Oh, Jesus.
That would be bananas if he went to the Jets. Oh, and then it would make sense for them to be in on Geno, but I don't think the Jets are going to be in on Geno, given how everything ended with Geno the first time.
I guess I just see them as a team that like just wants nothing, like no big splash. I think they just want to anchor it on the line and then use the skill position players they have and get Brees. Like they were so much better. You know, they didn't have a quarterback problem when Brees Hall was healthy.
Yeah. No doubt for sure. Man.
Yeah, and also I guess just any running back can look good on that offensive line, man.
Not Michael, though.
Well, not one Mike.
Not Michael Carter, apparently.
Yeah. What? I got a weird question.
Not James Robinson, apparently. What's that?
Yeah, not James Robinson either.
Yeah, he's not being talked about tonight, even though he's a free agent. Dude,
anyway, hey.
I got to throw out one last name because I think this guy is going to maybe, with the way things are set up right now, maybe get an opportunity to do something somewhere. No. Oh. I'm going to save it. Never mind.
Okay.
Mike Glennon. If you're going to say Mike Glennon,
I'm not going to say Mike Glennon, all right? I'm not going to say Mike Glennon.
All right, Christian.
Let's do it.
You mentioned Jared Goff, so let's talk about the Lions, man.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have much else to say. There are 4 teams that I think are a pretty solid lock to take a quarterback, a 5th if it comes to them, and they can. And like I said, the Lions are projected number 2 overall pick, and it's because of the Rams trade, and the Rams' remaining schedule are the Raiders, Packers, Broncos, Chargers, and Seahawks. There's a chance they might lose all those, with how bad the Rams are playing and with all their injuries. The Lions are going to get either Bryce Young or I'm spacing his name, CJ Stroud. They're going to get one of them. And so to me, they're not going to be in on the vet. Like maybe an older vet just to come in and sit there if they do decide to move on from Goff. But I think they'd be silly to pass on a quarterback right now. It's not even your pick and you're getting to take it. It's the same thing with Seattle. It's not your pick and you're getting to take a quarterback. So to me, it's just figuring out what they decide to do with Goff is the only thing.
Hell yeah. Well, they got some other things they need to figure out. That's right. I'm coming at you live. I got some additional numbers to throw in your face right now. So right now, in the non-quarterback skill position category, they are spending the 5th least in the league. So that cost is at $26 million, and that is $20 million under the league average for the non-skill or the non-quarterback skill position group is like $46 million for 2023 at this moment. So, the running back cost is kind of middle of the pack, but the tight end cost is less than $1 million, right? And they get rid of TJ Hawkinson out of nowhere, and wide receiver cost is 10th lowest. So yeah, DJ Chark is going to be a free agent next year, and this O-line is actually in the top 3 as far as cap costs go, money to them. And a lot of the defense, some of their hot players are on the rookie deals still. So they have an opportunity to kind of recoup some of that pass catching action in the free agency. So that's what I lean towards on the prediction side of it. And yeah, I don't know. I went kind of bargain bin on these guys because I don't know why I'm always not talking about the hot names. I'm always talking about the cold names. But with the $23 million in cap they're projected to have, I went with Hayden Hurst and Olamide Zaccheaus coming to this team to give them a little, little insurance. Obviously, they got Amon-Ra and they got Jameson Williams, but you're going to need someone to step up. And Olamide seems like a really good Jameson Williams insurance. And Hayden Hurst is kind of I think he's a pretty much like a poor man's TJ Hawkinson. I'll give him that.
Yeah.
So
that's fair.
Yeah, that's all I really.
Yeah, surround that rookie QB with weapons for sure. I mean, you're taking a rookie, so yeah, do exactly what you're saying. The line's good. You probably need some more help on the defense.
For sure.
Find that and then get a solid number 2 to Jameson if you expect him to be the number 1, even though, well, I guess Amon-Ra, I don't know where Amon-Ra fits in there. I guess he's the other number 1 at this point. So just getting a third option in the wide receiver room. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
So now on to the Indianapolis Colts.
The Colts have a 79% chance to have a top 10 pick. The problem is the Panthers, Lions, Texans, and fucking Seahawks are all also going to be in the top 10 and all also need a quarterback. To me, I said there were 4 teams that I think are locks. I think it's the Falcon or the Seahawks, the Texans, the Lions, and the Panthers. And to me, the Colts are that 5th team that if there's a quarterback there, I think they're a lock to take a quarterback, or they move up somehow. They try to trade up because I think they're sick of the whole veteran free agent game. It seems to not be working. I think Chris Ballard, the GM of the Colts, I think his job just got said that it was safe by the owner, Jim Irsay, but I don't know that it's safe if they suck again next year and they trade for another vet. This is the problem. If they're not going to know if they don't get one of these rookies when they have to make the decision on a free agent. So if they're scared that they're not going to get a free agent, I actually think the Colts would be the team that would make a lot of sense for Geno Smith. They have plenty of cap space to do it. You could sign him to just a 2-year, 3-year deal. And he's been good enough that he can hopefully make your team good. Everybody at Seattle was going to have a top 10 pick. Turns out they do, thanks to the Broncos, but they've been playing well. And if Geno could do the same thing in Indy, I could see that happening. But I think the Colts' dream is to get a rookie.
Yeah, I think they pretty much have to, man. And like Matt Ryan still has a huge cap hit, doesn't he? It's
Hmm.
like I know I looked it
Yeah.
up. It's like 26 million, 35 million. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
which is ridiculous. The other thing about drafting a rookie and having Matt Ryan just forced on your roster, he is a good teacher, you would think. So that's at least good.
dude,
Um,
who has he ever taught?
yeah. Well, I don't know. He's a
I'm just
vet.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm trying to picture it. But yeah, for $35 million, that's a pretty good mentor fee.
Yeah.
You know, he's got to be packing it in.
The question is, does Matt Ryan retire though?
Yeah.
Like, does he think he doesn't have it anymore? Because it sure looks like he doesn't really have it anymore.
I feel
And
like if you got $35 million lingering, you're like, I guess I can go one more year.
that's fair.
Yeah, someone's going to have to tell me to leave. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I'm going to keep showing up regardless of what you want to do.
Well, then, do the Colts cut him then and knock that from 35 to 18? Like, that's a huge dead cap chunk to still have, but like, it's not 35. You're saving yourself 17 million in cap space.
Right. Yeah,
Like,
and that gives you the space because right now they only have a projected like 26.5 million in cap space.
mhm,
So they're going to, in my eyes, they can't sign an actual competitive quarterback.
quarterback. That's fair.
I think, honestly, I think they just ride with Matt Ryan another year,
Really.
man. I think they try to get that O line to be what it's supposed to be,
Hmm.
and they put some more skill position. They're going to have to do something with the skill positions.
Hmm.
As far as they'd probably need another wide receiver on this team, even though they're doing well with the Michael Pittman and Alec Pierce. But I think they kind of just keep the package together and find a way to make the O line what it's supposed to be and ride it out with Matt Ryan. I think it could work, honestly. If
Yeah,
Jonathan Taylor had been healthy all year, I don't know. Things might be different right now.
that's fair. I I don't know. I mean, I hear you. I think they make a move to try and get a quarterback in the draft. I think they trade up, especially if they're in the top 10. I think they try to move up because the projected top 10 right now, Texans, Lions, Bears, Hawks, Panthers, Eagles, Colts, Falcons, Jags, Cardinals. That's projected right now. Obviously, we don't know where they're going to finish, but like they could trade up to three from if they finished eighth, they could trade up to three from eight. Chicago could move back for a bounty of picks, and you could go up and get the third best quarterback that you want. I just think, good or bad, I think Chris Ballard's job is on the line, and I think a rookie quarterback's the only thing that's going to save him. And he has to be good. Like they're going to have to go get a guy, and that kid is going to have to look good for him to save his job.
It's a lot of ifs.
True.
All right, I'm with it. All right, we don't have to keep talking about Matt Ryan and the Colts.
Panthers?
Why not?
They're going to
That's
draft
started.
somebody.
They're going to draft somebody, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what are they projected right now to have the 6th overall pick? Probably grab that
Fifth.
guy from Kentucky.
Fifth. Will Levis.
Should be pretty fun. I think team needs for the Panthers are more than just a quarterback. I think you can address that through the draft. I think they obviously need to get a running back in there. Probably need some tight end love. And I'd say even a wide receiver would be nice. Yeah, on the non-quarterback skill position, spending their 12th lowest and 6th lowest with the quarterback in there because they pretty much don't have anybody in that department. So it seems like it should be plenty of extra money, right? They're like 26 million less on average than the rest of the league in the skill position group, but they have the 5th highest paid O-line at 52 million and the 9th highest defense. So they're actually over the cap 7 million. And that doesn't really open up the opportunity to go get a quarterback in free agency. So that's kind of why we're thinking they're probably going to have to go through the draft. So, with the CMC getting traded, and then Foreman is going to free agency. They're going to need to really address that running back room, man. And so I don't know. I don't want to steal your later mojo. I just did these teams and their team needs all in a package here.
No,
But,
you're all good. And I agree with you. The thing with the Panthers is I don't think they're going to need to spend much on a veteran running back because they have 2 second-round picks and 2 fourth-round picks, which are great times to go out and get a running back. Like, could you imagine you go from Christian McCaffrey and let's say Bijan Robinson falls out of the first round because he is a running back, and then you just go from McCaffrey to Bijan Robinson and you don't have to pay him anything other than the rookie deal, second-round pick?
Yeah.
That's kind of what I'm looking for. But you bring in a vet. You bring in one of these like kind of cheaper option guys, maybe a James Robinson, maybe a Damian Harris, somebody like that to be your initial guy. And then your rookie takes similar to the Michael Carter, Breece Hall situation where Carter was the starter for like 3 weeks and then Breece Hall just shit all over him. Similar to that is kind of what I see the Panthers doing, not wanting to spend a lot of money on a running back while they're rebuilding and just draft one with your extra second round pick. But no, I'm with you. They definitely need to clear up that room. They really need a tight end, a pass catching tight end. They could use another receiver outside of DJ Moore, and I do think they need a running back. But I just think they're kind of set up in the perfect opportunity to draft a stud running back and not have to pay somebody.
Yeah, I put Samaje Perine. Seemed like a nice. They're projecting like $3 million. He'd be a really good, serviceable guy to be the 1-2 in there. So, works for me. I'm all about it.
Let's do it.
All right. So, on to the Saints.
Yeah. The Saints are kind of boned.
A little bit.
Their number one need is a quarterback. And, it's a deep class, but they don't have any picks in the first round, so they may be able to get somebody in the second. But another problem is they don't have any money. They're projected to be $63 million over the cap, and they'll have to figure that out and get that number way down. But I feel like they're going to have to find a way to sign like a stopgap guy because they're not going to be able to draft somebody really unless they find a steal in the second round, and they're not going to have a ton of money. So I feel like somebody like Baker or Sam Darnold or Carson Wentz or running it back with Jameis Winston makes more sense to me than them trying to make any sort of move because they're just going to be so cap strung again that it's going to be hard for them to really make a big swing like that.
Yeah, they're going to be a little tight. Let's see. Is Jameis as a free agent after this year?
No, but they could cut him.
Right.
With 11 million in dead cap. So that's kind of what I was thinking. But that'd be tough to yeah, it's kind of weird because the dead cap is 11.2 and the cap hit's only 15.6.
Right.
So you're only saving like 4 million.
But they're paying him and he's not playing, so why
Yeah.
No need to reload it if that's not what you're after anyway.
So yeah, it could be most likely Winston just comes back.
Yeah. Man, this team is totally effed as you alluded to, man.
Especially all that kicking the can down the road.
Well, and they don't have outs on that huge contract for Michael Thomas or for Alvin Kamara until after this coming year. Even the Taysom contract I don't think has an out until after this coming year. So
I was about to look at the Taysom one. Now Kamara, something tells me Kamara gets traded.
Yeah, they'd be wise to make that move.
Yeah, they don't have an out until 2024 for Taysom.
19 million headed to Kamara next year. That's kind of crazy. Highest paid O-line in the league. Just handcuffed, man. So I think you're right. They're going to go super poor, man. I think maybe get Gardner Minshew in here, man. Like that guy was not that bad. He didn't throw a lot of picks. He moved the ball, and he was really fun. Maybe get him to light it up. This electric offensive attack.
And He's kind of the perfect type of guy. He would bring excitement because everybody loves Gardner Minshew. He'd bring like a new swagger to you, and if he sucks, who cares? It's Gardner Minshew.
It's practically
Like,
free.
yeah,
And it doesn't
exactly.
come with the baggage you get with like a Baker or something like that.
Exactly. Well, yeah, Baker, I don't think is getting another. Well, I guess not after he threw a game-winning touchdown. He might.
That's impressive.
But yeah, Gardner Minshew, from everything we know, it's like pretty. His teammates like him. Whatever. I think it would be a good move. That one makes a lot of sense. I hadn't thought about that one, but yeah, I think that makes sense.
I'm throwing another one in there on this because Jarvis Landry, Juwan Johnson, and Marquez Callaway are all free agents after this year, and that's a quarter of the team's receiving. Obviously, they got a good thing going with Shaheed and Chris Olave, but I'm really, really worried about Michael Thomas. So I slated Mac Hollins to come join this team as like a big-bodied receiver who's kind of having a hot streak going through this year, going to free agency next year.
They can figure out a way to make that happen. I can't imagine Hollins would be too terribly expensive.
Nope. I think it's like around $4 million or whatever. So
yeah.
All right. So on to the Washington Commanders. Christian.
Commanders. Well, Carson Wentz is definitely getting cut. There's no way that he stays on this team. $0 of dead cap money to cut Carson Wentz as opposed to a $26 million cap hit. No chance. Carson Wentz is gone. So, what do the Commanders do? Similar to what you were saying with Mike White, I think they roll with Taylor Heineke. Like, it's hard to argue with the kid. He's 5-1-1 right now. He's not playing amazingly, but the team just won't stop winning. And when you're in it, you're going to end up possibly making the playoffs as the Washington Commanders. Probably not, but you'll be in that conversation. So you're not going to have that good of a pick. They don't have a ton of money, if I remember right. Yeah, $13 million in cap space. Even if it goes up, you're sitting at 33 at the most. It's not crazy money to make some kind of huge move. So I think you roll with Heineke. The problem is Taylor Heineke's a free agent. So now you got to start paying him. And now it's one of those things like, are the Commanders willing to pay him? Because his market value is around $20 million. Okay, well, you just saved 26 cutting Carson Wentz. So essentially, you could think of like a 1-year, $20 million deal for Taylor Heineke, prove it deal. Let's go. And really, you still saved yourself $6 million getting rid of Wentz, and then you roll with Taylor Heineke. I feel like something along those lines is what's going to happen. He's played good enough to earn a chance, in my opinion. And I think they're going to try. And it goes back to that whole thing. They don't have a lot of options. And worst case scenario, Taylor Heineke sucks. And then you get a better draft pick.
Yep. I think that you're onto something, man. You've pretty much read my notes aloud. I think Heineke's coming back. It's kind of crazy that he might fetch that $20 million price tag, but as well-rounded as, the skill position and this O-line's been surprisingly good this year. I mean, I think they're going to probably want to just keep doing their defensive thing and keep a guy in the house that's got the respect of the team.
Of his teammates. He's already got the playbook down. Like, I think it makes a lot of sense.
Fuck yeah. Washington.
All right. Well,
I think that's the quarterbacks done, right?
Yeah. So we're going to go to the next section called Where'd My Wide Receivers Go? And so this is a nice segue. We'll start with the New York Giants because they might have QB trouble as well. Daniel Jones on his last year. So I don't know. Do we see him staying? Do we see QB coming in? The wide receivers are a disaster. So I'll kick it over to you guys. Daniel, take it away.
Okie dokie. Yeah, as you mentioned, they need some wide receivers, right? Richie James, Darius Slayton, Sterling Shepard, Marcus Johnson, a.k.a. 45% of the receiving yards for this team going to free agency. They got some quality rookie contracts on the O-line that's kind of keeping their costs down, giving them about $51 million in cap space, which is pretty nice. And I'm not really – so here's the deal. I'm calling this 51 million in cap space, but it's like Saquon's coming back, right? So let's just cut
absolutely.
that number down.
Yeah.
Let's call it 35. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll just go with that. Forget the Saquon thing. And I think they need to make some big moves in the pass catching department. I know Daniel Bellinger is coming back, but I think that the smart move to do here would be to ink Mike Gesicki to really help you in the pass catching game. We all know he's more of a pass catcher than a blocker, so that helps you out, gives you a little patch on that. And then I think you get a little sexy. If you ask me, I threw like Alan Lazard in on this team as well.
That'd be fun.
So it's
Lazard's
a pretty
a good
good
player.
rebound. Yeah. So I just think it's going to look like a new wide receiver room, but the same old team. I do think Daniel Jones gets a 1-year deal. Just the way they're building this team, it doesn't really seem like they're quarterback dependent to be successful. And so why would you go out of your way to pursue a new quarterback when what's going on now is already working pretty well?
Yeah, and like there has been noticeable improvement in Daniel Jones. Is it some crazy amount of improvement where he looks amazing now? No, not necessarily. But like you're saying, give him one more year, see if that continues. Maybe it was just a slow burn. He needed 6 years to get going. Who knows? But like I'd be fine with that right now. With the way Daniel Jones is playing, the way your team's playing. Now, to answer your question, if Daniel Jones falls off a cliff and they just suck and miss the playoffs, then probably have to reopen this conversation. But I'm with you. They need pass catchers. Gesicki's a really good shout. I like that one a lot. I also wanted to mention Kenny Galladay's on the hook for 21.4 million, but they can save around 14 by cutting him and just take 6.8 in dead cap. So I feel like that's probably going to happen as well. Open that up a little bit. The bad news is there's not, like we talked about last week, the wide receiver market is kind of dog ass for if you're looking for a receiver right now. And so it's going to make it kind of tricky. I really like the idea of DJ Chark as like the cheap burner option. Detroit's not going to need him. They're not going to bring him back as long as Jameson doesn't like get hurt again or something crazy. But Chark's looked all right, like he's not going to cost that much money. He's looked good ever since he's been healthy with the Lions. I think he could help you. He's not going to be your top option or whatever. And then the other guy, if Jacoby Myers makes it to free agency, I think the Giants would be silly not to go after him. I don't think Jacoby Myers is going to make it, which is going to make this wide receiver market even worse. But I think that would be another one. And then another option, I know everybody's penciled him into going back to Kansas City, but I think Juju could make a lot of sense up in New York, kind of pairing him. They're going to use Wandale in the slot a lot. As long as he comes back and is healthy, you get Juju to kind of help over the middle of the field. And then I think they draft somebody as well. Again, maybe what would that be, like 3 years in a row, I guess? And that may be crazy to try to do wide receivers back to back to back. But I don't know. There's not enough meat on the bones to rebuild a wide receiver room in this offseason, in my opinion.
No, I agree with you, man. And that's kind of why I was going, tight end a little bit. Lazard, obviously, I've got Juju going back to Kansas City, untouchable. I put Jacoby Myers. This is part of my Falcons thing. I thought he went well.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That room is pretty much only Drake London, Olamide's out. Damiere Byrd already cut. Brian Edwards traded Calvin Ridley. So a lot of action needed in that direction. But I'm saving my DJ Chark for later, man. He's in my pocket still.
All right.
There you go.
Could it be for this next team, the Baltimore Ravens? I guess we'll have to see. Christian, let's get started.
Yeah, again, they need a receiver. It's tough, but they need a burner. They traded away Hollywood Brown, and they don't really have that much of a deep threat anymore. I think Rashad Bateman is still going to be good for like a low-end wide receiver 1 to a high-end 2 for Lamar Jackson. And so to me, when you're looking at kind of what they need, I don't think they need a deep threat, but in my opinion, I don't think you need to spend a lot on a deep threat. Lamar Jackson this season has only thrown 39 times, 20 yards or more. That's not, he's in the bottom half. I meant to write it down exactly where. That's a bad job by me, but it's not great. It's not that many. And he threw more last year when he had Hollywood Brown. So this is definitely a combination of not having the guy and Lamar just not being that guy. But he doesn't throw deep as often as other people. So you don't need somebody that costs a lot of money. So I kind of thought Mecole Hardman made a lot of sense as like the burner for the Ravens. I mean, I don't think Kansas City's going to bring him back. They're not going to be able to bring back him and Juju. At least I don't think. They've got MVS to kind of do the same thing, and he was on a 3-year deal. So I like Mecole, and I think he makes sense in Baltimore as like a cheap burner option, and then they try to find another true alpha at some point.
I like that. I'm with you in the headspace, but I'm not with you on the name space.
Okay,
so
fair enough.
Yeah, As far as the costs go, they're only spending $7 million in the wide receiver room next year, which is $20 million less than the average for the league. And all their money is actually, going to that tight end room with Mark Andrews. They got the second highest spending there, thanks to New England for locking down that number 1 spot with Jonnu and Hunter Henry. Congratulations.
Good job, New England.
But it's kind of scary with them only having the $37 million, considering like neither Huntley or Lamar are on the books for next year. So that's a tight kind of situation. So I'm with you on the cost-effective burner that this team needs to round out their wide receiver room. I just went with the poor man's Hollywood. I'm going with Paris Campbell to fit that void. Even like way cheaper than Mecole as well. So
yeah,
I don't know. I also think that they need to probably look for a serviceable veteran running back for like the 5th year in a row. So, but yeah, man, I'm with you on that. I like it.
Nice. All right.
I like Paris Campbell a lot too. I just have him somewhere else, so that's.
Ooh.
Yeah, I've got Mecole somewhere else. He didn't fall off my radar.
I like how these are all falling into place, possibly. So let's go to the Bears. Obviously, much needed receivers in Chicago. Darnell Mooney on the IR, and the arrival of Chase Claypool, but still,
did he
much
arrive?
to do.
I feel like he left something.
A ticket, but I didn't know if he actually had made it there or not.
I think he's just covered in too much maple syrup. He can't move anymore.
That's right.
He's got the arthritis from the TikTok scrolling.
My God, all the scrolls. All right, so we're talking about the Bears. No, this is like, you can say anything you want about the Bears. Because they got $115 million.
They can do whatever they want.
It's whatever you want. But as you mentioned, they need the pass catchers. They only have like $3.8 million allocated to the wide receiver room in 2023, which is the least in the league. Pretty much no money going to the tight end since they still got Cole Kmet on the rookie deal, but
at least he's coming alive.
The need, right? So I don't think they need to pursue. They've got the franchise quarterback, so we're basically talking about just throwing some money at the wide receiver area, and so I'm giving it up to a couple of vets. I think if you put Sterling Shepard in there, stabilize this wide receiver room, and then this is where I put someone who could really pop for him, DJ Chark.
Okay.
So I think you put DJ Chark and Sterling Shepard in there, and then you've got Darnell Mooney and whatever Claypool wants to show up at whatever point. And you got a lot more solid wide receiver room. Obviously, they got to go something in the draft, right? They still got pretty good options there as well. And I know that you like to talk about players being traded and whatnot. I thought maybe the way things are going in Denver that they might move on from one of their guys, maybe Jerry Jeudy, or probably not Cortland Sutton, but I thought Yeah, maybe make a little bit of space there. Maybe an aging guy and Keenan
Yeah.
Allen. Maybe get
Yeah.
him out of there.
That'd be fun. If anybody should make a trade for a big name wide receiver, it should be the Bears. They tried to do that with Chase Claypool, but it didn't really work so far. But yeah, they have all the money in the world. They can take whoever's contract that they want. The problem is, and short of trading, there's not an alpha in
Right.
free agency this year. To me, Jacoby Myers is the closest option, but even that is like, I think you'd be stretching it to say that Jacoby Myers is like an alpha receiver. That is, I'm sure he's an alpha human being. I'm sure all these guys in the NFL are, but
These Predators.
yeah, but so I kind of like the idea of getting a vet, and there's plenty of people that they could get, and then going in the draft. But specifically, this is actually where I put Paris Campbell.
Okay.
I think it makes sense. You got Mooney as the deep threat sometimes whenever that works, and then Chase Claypool exists. And then you're gonna draft a guy. I assume they have 2 first rounders this year. They can get somebody, and then not with the number 2 overall pick, but later on down the road. And then I think Campbell fits in as like a Swiss Army gadget guy, but primarily in the slot, which is what they don't really have. They're running out Dante Pettis right now in the slot for the Bears. Like,
free agent.
I don't love that. And he's a free agent. Paris Campbell on a cheap couple year prove it, or maybe just 1 year prove it, and use him in the slot, find an alpha in the draft, try to find an alpha in the draft, and maybe bring in a Juju or an Alan Lazard or somebody to be kind of like that vet presence, or a Chark. Chark would make sense too.
I like Chark.
So to me, it's a combination of getting like a vet guy that makes a lot of sense, that can kind of help the receiver room grow and provide you a guy right now, drafting a guy late, and then to me, getting a slot guy makes a lot of sense. And I think Paris Campbell's the cheap, smart option, especially with the way he's looked over the last few weeks.
Gotcha. I'm going to throw one last thing out there. First of all, they only have 1 first, I think, and then they've got Baltimore second, and not even
okay. So that's
second.
I guess that's what I was thinking.
And so they're 35% of their current receiving work on this year is going into free agency next year. That's Demont, Equanimous, St. Brown, and Pettis, as you mentioned. And I think the big name there, Demont, is getting quite a bit of pass work. And I think that's something you can do on this team with endless bags of money, is supplement with a pass catching running back. I'm putting Kareem Hunt on the Bears.
Ooh,
I think that makes
that's sexy.
Yeah, I think that makes Justin Fields' life a lot easier.
I don't know what I was thinking about with that 2 picks thing. I don't know.
I got excited, man. And when I checked, I was like, "Fuck, no."
But they do have the option with the number 2 projected pick to trade back and get multiple and figure it out. But yeah, the Bears, as much as I hate it, the Bears are going to be fun to watch because they have so much money and so many options.
Right. They
But
got the tight end, they got the quarterback. Fucking, they got the money. Like, they got the draft picks. It's weird.
I still think trading for Mike Evans makes a lot of sense. But
Yeah,
that'd make me so happy.
just wait till Kenny Galladay makes his way over there.
Yeah, well, they did Kenny Galladay before Kenny Galladay with the Allen Robinson thing. So
Right.
I think maybe the lesson was learned on that one.
I will say, this between me and Christian here, this feels like the Lions and the Bears. It feels like a LaFleur fantasy team, and it scares me a little bit, just a little bit.
they're coming. They're coming.
I don't like it.
Gonna be interesting.
So, all right, shall we move on to the running backs? The running back roundup segment of the pod. Cool, man. So, let's see. We started with Daniel that last time, so let's start with Christian. We'll go with the Cardinals.
Yeah. They're another team I think is in kind of prime position to draft a running back in the second round. Bijan probably won't be there, but they're kind of locked into James Conner right now. It doesn't save you really any money to cut him. He's a cap hit of $10 million next season and a dead cap hit of 9.75. So literally like no reason whatsoever to cut him unless you just hate him. So it doesn't make a lot of sense to go out and spend money on a veteran to me for a team that already has to pay James Conner and a team that doesn't have the most cap space. They have projected 17 million right now. So like it's something they could do, and if they were gonna do it, somebody like Miles Sanders makes sense to me if the Eagles let him go. But I think his projected $7.2 million would be too pricey for a team that's kind of stuck with Connor. And so to me, it makes way more sense. You've got Keontae Ingram there, who they seem to at least like enough. And then you could draft a runner in the second or even later if you wanted to, because you got to wait for James Conner anyway. So I kind of think this is the Cardinals are a draft first, think about signing a guy later team.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, man. I think they got a little bit of action in that Keontae. I think it would have developed nicely. I mean, what happened with the Eno Benjamin thing, man? They must have saw something they liked in order to let that happen.
You would think, or Eno just, I don't know. Did they get in a fight with Eno? Did we ever find out?
Yeah, they were supposed to explain the reason why he got cut, and it was team rule oriented or a disagreement, and then it was just never brought up again.
Oh, okay.
Oh, they found out he was Kyler's gaming buddy.
You motherfucker!
You're a bad influence. So, that's funny.
An enabler.
Nice.
All right, are we moving on here?
Guess so.
Yeah, I mean,
All right, so
when they're gonna draft, it's hard.
true.
Yeah.
So let's move on to the Panthers. Definitely a void there. So we'll kick it over to Christian. What you got?
Yeah, and I said it earlier. If there's a scenario where Bijan Robinson is at the top of the second round, I think they'd be silly to not take him. But I think I think they're gonna draft a guy. They're not in a position to pay a lot of money for a running back right now. They don't have a ton of cap space. They're sitting at around where are the Panthers? Around -8 million. So they're over the cap by 8, and then they got to make moves to get under and do all this finagling. It doesn't really make sense to pay a vet any sort of crazy money. I think either they could bring Foreman back on a cheaper deal, or they could sign one of these like aging or not aging necessarily, but one of these like lower end running backs. But I definitely think they're going to draft somebody for sure.
Got to. Man, they have to. Yeah, man, I love Samaje here. I'm going to just say it again.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense.
Just going to yell about it. Man, it blows my mind the way this team's cap is falling, man. It's pretty
It doesn't make
interesting.
sense either. Like, it's so weird to me when bad teams are below the cap or over the cap, because you're just like, well, who the fuck are you spending money on? Why you suck so bad? It don't make sense.
I mean, yeah, I wouldn't expect them to be the fifth highest paid O line. Like, man, it doesn't make any fucking sense to me. But
They just draft an offensive lineman
yeah,
and their whole defense
well, they had
in
that
the last
Taylor
3
Moton
years.
guy. They tagged him and
Taylor Moton.
yeah.
Or is it Moton? I don't fucking know.
Moton, Moton.
Motown.
All right, so let's move on to the Los Angeles Rams. And we'll start with you, Daniel.
The Rams.
Rams.
Yeah, so running back is definitely the name of the game. When you're looking at this team, and they have like the 4th highest non-quarterback skill position cost. And the big hit is the wide receivers, right? Their 3rd highest payout in the wide receiver room at $52 million. And big miss on Allen Robinson. Obviously, Cooper Kupp has the chance to be the best in the business once he gets back out there. But all this stuff happens, and they're over the cap, about $3.5 million. Their O-line's kind of in shambles. So you feel like, that's going to need some attention as well. And obviously, they don't have any of their high caliber draft picks. Went with the Stafford deal. So I look at them needing I think they need a running back to supplement whatever Cam Akers is. Kind of weird that Henderson got cut, but I'm putting Devin Singletary as a guy that could really round out this team.
I agree. That was my number one option as well. Exactly for the reasons you're saying. They don't have a ton of money. They don't have any picks. I do think they find a way to draft a running back, but it's not going to be a premium running back. It's going to be a late one just to fill out that room. And I would have said somebody like Kareem Hunt, but when your team doesn't have a good year like the Rams are having, it doesn't make a ton of sense to bring in a 28-year-old running back at the beginning of next season. Like he's more of a let's keep winning type move. And that's why I think Singletary makes a lot of sense. He's still young-ish for a running back, and he's a cheaper option that they could at least use for the next few years, see what he's got left in the tank, and just kind of, like you're saying, supplement that room until they kind of pull themselves out of this fuck them picks hole that they've got into and can actually go for it again. The only other two guys that make sense to me because of they'll probably be cheap, Damian Harris and James Robinson. I don't think James Robinson really fits the Rams offense. To me, he's more of like a power guy, and I think the Rams kind of want more of a do everything type guy, as opposed to just power. So, but I think those are two cheaper options that they could go for. But I think Singletary makes the most sense.
Yeah, I looked at kind of Robinson and Harris for this, and I thought Singletary was the most complimentary back.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Serviceable as a starter if Akers is having any struggles.
He's used to working in a committee as well, so there wouldn't be any of this weird. You wouldn't think there would be any of this weird, like, no, I'm the guy, da, 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 da. Like he shouldn't care at all. So I'm with you. I like Singletary to LA.
All right, let's move to the Miami Dolphins, who have the San Francisco backups in their starting room right now.
Straight up.
And all of them are free agents.
Yep.
Every single one of their running backs.
Take it away, Christian.
To be honest with you, if the Dolphins had first round picks, they would have been the team that took Bijan in the first round. I absolutely think they do. The offense has been working really well. The defense has been passable enough. I think they could have snuck in there and gotten a superstar running back and done it. Unfortunately, they don't have any first round picks, so that goes out the door. They're going to have to make a few moves to get under the cap as well, so they're not going to be able to buy one of these expensive free agents. And so I think they bring back one of their current guys, whichever one they like the best, be that Mostert, Jeff Wilson, whoever they decide, and then the other ones kind of go by the wayside. I do think they spend a draft pick on a running back at some point. It's just not going to be one of the premium ones. And I think, what about the Dolphins taking a chance on Rashad Penny for cheap? Like, he's hurt, obviously, but he's a free agent. He's probably not going to cost that much money. But when he's on the field, he's explosive, and he produces. So a team that doesn't have a lot of money, that maybe they already like to loosey-goosey style their running backs anyway. So, like, if they bring in Penny for cheap and he gets hurt, whatever, you just throw a new cog in that wheel. It's no big deal. But if Penny doesn't get hurt and he plays like he was playing at the end of last year, beginning of this year, now you have a third or a fourth element to your offense or whatever that is explosive, and it could really fuck some teams up.
Yeah, man, that's spicy. I like that a lot. I mean, we've talked about it routinely. Like, this team hasn't cared about the run game for years, and now all of a sudden they have this carousel that, why would you sink cash that you don't have into a star player when your game is through the air anyway? So
exactly. Yeah, no reason to.
I love what you did with that one. I'm not even going to challenge it.
Woo!
Beautiful.
All right, so on to the last in this category, the Atlanta Falcons. And I know Daniel Darthur Whitmore's got a thing or two to say about this, so I'll kick it on over to him.
Oh, yeah. What do I have to say about the Falcons that I haven't already said about the Falcons? Well, first of all, they're completely gutted. It's like Kyle Pitts and Drake London, right? And that's the whole team. So they've got some stuff going with Cordero, obviously, and I love Tyler Algier. But when it comes to these guys, they've got money to play with. And so I have a very sexy name that I think would be a great fit in their running back room, and it's Miles Sanders. You know what I mean?
Ooh.
I think
That's a good one.
they get a guy with a lot of momentum and just put him on the ground and let him go. Cordero, he's not that expensive. They could cut him pretty easily. But why would you? You know, the guy's like 32 and still kicking ass. Just keep him on your team. You know, you got Algier. Just have a little bit of a committee. You don't really have depth at any other skill position at all. So why not just give yourself something? They've been doing great running the ball this year and letting Mariota kind of do his little thing. So keep it going. See what Ritter's got in it, and give him a safety net of a badass running back room led by Miles Sanders. Call me crazy.
Yeah, I like that a lot. It makes a ton of sense. I'm not going to challenge too hard. I think the dream scenario to me for the Falcons would be Josh Jacobs.
Okay.
That would be incredible, but I don't think it's going to happen. And I think the most likely move that they make is David Montgomery. But to be honest with you, Miles Sanders is spicier and makes probably more sense. And I overlooked that one. But I think David, I just think the Falcons kind of like the opposite of the Rams. They kind of like more power guys. Tyler Algier's a power guy. Cordero is dynamic, but he's big and he has a lot of power as well. And so that's why I thought Josh Jacobs to me is like the perfect running back for the Falcons. I just don't think it's going to happen. And then I loved the idea of James Robinson to the Falcons, but now apparently James Robinson just dropped off the face of the planet. I don't understand what's going on there. So I like David Montgomery as kind of an option to like be relatively cheap and still be like kind of dynamic and work that room out. But to me, that it's not flashy enough. So I actually think Sanders makes a little more sense, to be honest with you. And he's more of a compliment to Algier than David Montgomery would be. So that I'm kind of gonna pivot and just not to just steal extra credit or steal your credit, but like, yeah, I think Miles Sanders makes a lot of sense for the Falcons.
No, steals credit. I do it all the time. It's not a big deal.
For the record, I also put Darius Slayton along with Jacoby Meyer to the
there you go.
Falcons.
That makes a lot of sense. They got to make
sexy
moves.
Team, man. That'd be a sexy
Hell
team. So Ritter all the way, man. I'm kind of sad I traded him.
Ritter. I'm glad I got him in one league. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a terrible idea. I thought there was still a part of me that thought I could compete and just needed a running back. And I bought into the Brian Robinson hype.
Yeah. Brian Robinson.
Terrible.
Little head.
I already traded
him.
Brian Robinson. Yep. I hate
So
him.
you basically
I hate him so
traded
much.
Ritter in a super flex for a second round pick.
Yeah, I'd have to look at everything, but yeah, essentially, I basically just kind of went ahead and ate that one and realized it was stupid and got out of Brian Robinson when I could.
Yeah, I feel the same about trading DeAndre Hopkins for Baker Mayfield. That was cool.
Oh,
That sucks.
Well, all right, boys. Is that the end?
I think so.
This is the end. I got a shotgun blast if you want it for the Houston Texans.
Okay, that's what I was
There you go.
asking.
Yeah, so
Let's shotgun blast.
basically, yeah, they're not spending any money on anything. They're fourth lowest in the skill position cost, and it's basically just Brandon Cooks, who still has another year before his out. This is where I put Mecole. I thought Mecole makes a lot of sense here. A little bit of John Mechie insurance could be a good combination with Nico. Let the younger guys develop while Brandon Cooks is still available there. But yeah, I think that you have Rex Burkhead, Chris Moore, Philip Dorsett, Jordan Akins, and OJ Howard. And that's like about 43% of the team's receiving work going in free agency. So they're going to have to supplement. And I think a huge way to take care of business here is to slide Dalton Schultz onto this team. So
stays in Texas.
That's right.
Oh, baby.
So Cole and Dalton Schultz get in there, and then obviously they get a rookie quarterback to be under center. And I mean, they really nailed it in the running back room this year. I mean, you guys know what happened. They picked up Eno Benjamin. But no, that Damian Pierce has found money, so that really kind of bailed him out. The O-line is actually pretty lucrative, not too shabby. So I think they just pair those guys in there and spend their other 15, 20 million on defensive side of the ball, and then they kick ass and take names.
Yeah, and I just double checked myself so I didn't look like an idiot again. But the Texans do have 2 first-round picks, so they could do kind of the Bears idea, draft a quarterback, pair him with a young rookie stud, and then kind of fill in the rest of the roster with the vets that you're talking about. Because they're in a full rebuild mode, so I don't see why they wouldn't, especially like right now having the opportunity. You can take whatever quarterback you want and then pair him with a receiver or try to fix other parts of your team, but I think it'd be good. And then, yeah, Cole makes a lot of sense there, gives them a lot more vertical game. And then, yeah, who knows what you're going to get out of Mechie.
Yeah.
And then
I'll tell you what you're going to get out of Mechie. Some Bryce Young, John Mechie, college teammates action. Let's go.
There he is. Yeah, man, one thing about Houston, right? They have the second highest paid O-line, but their defense, as far as the defensive cap hit, is 5th lowest. So
there you go.
I look for that second pick in the first round to go. They got to anchor
On
that
defense.
defense somehow.
Okay, that makes sense.
That's where I'm at with it, man.
Yeah, I like it. I can't really argue with it. It's hard when the team's that bad, though. They may just they can do whatever they want, and it'll fix them somehow.
Hopefully.
And they've been bargain binning the shit out of that team, and so hopefully it's all clear. Like the dead cap from Hopkins and maybe I don't know how much of the dead cap they got on that Watson stuff.
Yeah, I don't know how that worked either.
But it seems like they got some breathing room. They have a pretty solid O-line, so
Yeah.
there we go. Damian Pearson and O-line. Let's build a team around that. Why not?
And their secondary has been playing fairly well. They really I feel like they need a pass rush and to be able to stop the run.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, they're flexible to me. They need things, but they need so many things that like anywhere is going to help. And yeah, I like what you're saying. I think that's another place I could see Lazard going if he doesn't stay in Green Bay, which is like a big body outside to kind of help out. But yeah, I stand by what you said. I like it. Cole makes a lot of sense there. And Dalton Schultz is really tasty there, actually.
Hell yeah.
Since Brevin Jordan apparently isn't going to come alive for the RDR faithful.
No.
Yeah.
And Dallas, I do not think there's any way Dallas can afford Dalton Schultz.
There's no way. Especially not if Sports Track is right about what kind of contract Dalton Schultz is going to get.
Yeah, what is it, like 16 mil or something like that?
It's like 15. Yeah, 15.1 or something. Which seems high to me, but
Well, all right, boys. We're at the end.
nice
all right.
cold.
You see that shit out.
Well, thanks again. We'll